This is Dr. Rosie Kuhn, and this podcast series is called Spiritual Immersion, Taking the Plunge. One of the elements of any spiritual tradition is the idea of being present in the moment and being in stillness in the moment, in a sense that this moment is the perfection of the universe. There's nothing lacking, there's nothing needed, there's nothing you need. It's all here, right here. You are all here. You as a complete being are here right now, complete and whole and perfect. Now, I'm saying that as if it's true because I believe it's true. It's hard for me to live that I'm whole and perfect in this moment and that there's nothing needed and there's no need to fear anything in this moment. Those are really, 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 really hard concepts. But as part of a spiritual immersion process, it's my dog Gracie, as part of a spiritual immersion process, this is where we're getting to. This is an intention to be able to be so comfortable with ourselves and be comfortable with just being ourselves that we can be in a state of presence with ourselves without asking anything, demanding anything, fearing anything, thinking anything, doing anything, but being. The act of being is huge. That's all there is the act of being. And every single spiritual practice or principle, every single tradition basically is saying the same thing, getting us to the state of being at peace with ourselves in this moment. Now, a couple of podcasts ago, if not the last one, I mentioned that one of the most challenging things is, I forget what I was going to say. So let's move on. I'll be back to that. But that place of we are here to completely reject consensus reality. This is also a part of a lot of spiritual traditions, that letting go of the illusion or letting go of what other people think, what other people say, letting go of the consensus view of reality and rejecting that completely, which is, in a sense, a lot of our consensus reality is fear-based and not kindness-based, not love-based, not essence-based, not creation-based, but fear-based. We are productive mainly because we're afraid if we're not, then we're not enough and we're undeserving and unlovable. So dispelling, dismissing, disengaging from that consensus reality of that's fear-based and all the thoughts that go into being on the planet in a scary place. It's really hard to let go of all of that and be in a state of, okay, I'm okay. It's all good. And I love that statement, it's all good, because it really does reflect a spiritual principle that it's all good. But the challenge is, oh my God, how I don't want to, in a sense, it's so hard for us to not live in the past and not live in the future. You've probably heard this before. So I'm not like, oh my God, this is profound. This is just really hard work to see that we're either in the past or we're in the future. Our thinking mind is either remembering what it was like, which makes us scared, or remembering what it could be, or making up a story of the future based on the past, which makes us anxious. And we feel out of control and we feel anguish and despair because, like, how do we go forward if the past is all there is? But the fact is, the past isn't all there is. The past was the past. And in this moment, there is no past and there is no fear and there is no future. And there's only potential, only potentiality, 100% potentiality. And so we can choose to think and be and create from fear in this moment, or we can choose to do something else. So in your spiritual immersion process, part of what you're immersing yourself in is this dialogue with yourself. How do you think about things? How do you be with you when things get scary? How do you be with things when you want change to happen, but you're afraid of the consequences of that change? How do you be with yourself as you're imagining living in faith and peace and serenity and letting go of all the patternings that constrain you and limit you from that freedom and that peace and that serenity. These are big questions, but every moment is a moment to say, how am I being right now? Oh, okay, so I'm a little anxious. Okay, how am I being with my anxiousness? How am I being with my anxiousness? How am I being with my fearness? How am I being with my tiredness? How am I being with my joyfulness? How am I being with myself as I'm being in these states of of questioning? How am I being with myself while I'm questioning reality? Holy crap, this is big stuff. And yet that's the process of incrementally looking at and exploring how you be with yourself in this. Now, this is really a great place to potentially get a coach, a spiritual coach, or a person who can actually be a thinking partner for you so you can hear how you are being with yourself and what limits your ability to be present here now. A client, this was a number of years ago, a client of mine wanted peace but wanted she wanted more money in her life. And so I was saying, okay, so in this moment, can you see that you lack nothing? And that's a big piece of how we see ourselves as part of the fear practice is I lack. And any one of us can create a list of a mile long of what we lack. But the truth is, from a spiritual perspective, a spiritual principle is you lack nothing. You're perfect the way that you are. And there's no need for you to be any different. Werner Erhard says something like, you are pretending to be who you already are. Now, I love that statement, and that really helped me go, okay, so really I am this good person that's loving and kind and fun and generous and present for others and myself. I'm already that. I'm already funny and clever and brilliant. I'm already all that, and I am. I am. But I've been pretending to be that. And most likely so have you, pretending to be something that you are. A lot of people say, you're pretending to be something that you're not. Actually, you're probably doing more pretending of what you think you are. And so that's part of the dilemma is going, wow, I'm working so hard at pretending when I don't actually have to pretend at all. I can just be me and be great. But we've been trained to be so afraid that we're not enough and that we lack whatever it is, the right nose, the right teeth. I'm now going to be 28. I'm going to be actually 68 next week. It's like I lack smooth skin. I lack hair that doesn't have gray in it. I lack, you can list it in terms of what other people in consensus reality can tell you. But I'm not bothered by any of that anymore. But I used to be, right? I used to be bothered by all the things that I wasn't because that would mean I'm not lovable. And so I've had to train myself to let go of what I'm afraid to lose. Yoda actually says that in Star Wars. Train yourself to let go of what you're afraid to lose. And in that moment, we are kind of having to be in the state of presence, in the state of being now, which is where the force is, if you will. When you're in the state of presence, you are aware, conscious of who you are in your wholeness. And that's the practice. So, part of the intention of these podcasts, and this one in particular, is to say, it's really, really, really hard. Doesn't have to be, but we make it hard to let go of the past and let go of thinking about the future and just being here now, or thinking about the future from this moment forward as opposed to from the past. That's one of the things that got me really interested in coaching, really curious, because it's like coaching really takes people from this moment forward. And we look at maybe some patterns or some skills and tools and mechanisms that you've learned in the past that could be useful. But we don't have to take it all with us into the future. We'll just take what's required, what's useful. And that could be all of it. But we're able to look at it and frame it in a way that you get to say, wow, I'm using that in a very empowered way, and I'm liking the outcome. That's what it's about, is so that you can see who you are and make choices based on what works for you in the moment. In the moment. It's big stuff. It's big work. And the point, again, of this particular podcast is to say, part of this spiritual immersion process is to let go of what we think of as important in terms of the past and begin to practice something different, training ourselves to let go of using the past as a reference for now, and use the now as a reference for now, and the perfection of now as the reference for now, and the beauty and the creative capacity of this moment of now. And most inventors and brilliant scientists will tell you that when they were not in the past and they weren't trying hard to figure things out, in the moment is when the revelation occurred. Don't know if that's all helpful, but that's what I'm offering you. It's a very hard practice, and that's what meditation practices are about, is to support us and training us to let go of those thoughts so we can just be present to what is. And there's all kinds of meditation practices to support that, and I'll talk about that more in another podcast. So just know in this moment that you have the ability and the capacity to consider that this moment is a reverent, sacred moment of you. And this is the pinnacle of you in becoming you. And just celebrate in this moment and actively be you in this moment. It's an incredible gift that you give yourself and other people. All right, big hugs. Bye for now.